Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm excited to have you here as we explore an increasingly important topic in cybersecurity. On this first slide, you'll see the title, Vishing or Voice Phishing in Cybersecurity. We'll be discussing the human element, the growing threats posed by AI, and how governance, risk, and compliance play a crucial role in protecting our organizations. Over the next few slides, we'll dive into these areas and look at strategies to stay ahead of these evolving challenges. So, let's get started. Now, let's take a closer look at the rising threat of vishing. So, what exactly is vishing? Well, it's a type of voice phishing where attackers use phone calls to try and trick individuals into revealing sensitive information. Unlike emails or texts, vishing involves direct voice communication, which can feel more personal and convincing. As attackers get more sophisticated, they're evolving their tactics. Today, they can spoof caller IDs to make it appear as if the call is coming from a legitimate source, like your bank or a trusted company. They're also leveraging advanced technologies like deepfake audio and AI voice cloning, which can produce incredibly realistic fake voices. This makes their deception even more convincing and harder to spot. The consequences of falling for these scams can be severe. It can lead to unauthorized access to personal or corporate accounts, resulting in data breaches. On a broader scale, it can damage a company's reputation and cause significant financial losses. Understanding these tactics and their potential impact is critical, especially as we continue to see these threats become more sophisticated. This is why awareness and vigilance are key components of our overall cybersecurity strategy. Now, let's talk about what vishing actually is. Vishing is essentially a form of scam where someone uses fake voice communication to trick you into giving away sensitive information. This could be your passwords, including multi-factor authentication codes, or even bank details. Sometimes, they go after confidential company information, especially if they're targeting organizations. What makes vishing particularly sneaky is the way attackers communicate. They might use live calls, where someone is on the other end of the line, or they might use automated robocalls, which are pre-recorded messages. Increasingly, they're even utilizing AI-generated voices that sound very convincing and human-like. Now, why is vishing so dangerous? Well, humans tend to trust voices. We often associate a familiar, authoritative, or urgent tone with credibility. Attackers exploit this tendency to make their scam seem legitimate. That's why it's important to stay alert and skeptical, especially when asked for sensitive information over the phone. This is a key part of understanding the broader landscape of cybersecurity threats we're discussing today. Now, let's talk about who's actually behind vishing attacks and who tends to be targeted. On the attacker side, we're seeing a range of actors. It could be skilled cybercriminals who have honed their techniques over time, or organized crime syndicates that operate like well-oiled machines. There are also state-sponsored hacking groups, which might have more advanced resources and motives tied to national interests. Sometimes, you'll even find criminal call centers that launch thousands of these attacks simultaneously, making them quite hard to stop. When it comes to targets, certain groups are more vulnerable. Entry-level employees often lack the experience to spot these scams, so they're prime targets. HR staff and payroll departments handle sensitive information, making them attractive to attackers. IT help desk workers are also targeted because they have access to systems and credentials that can be exploited. Interestingly, even C-level executives are at risk. These whaling attacks are tailored specifically to high-level leaders because compromising them can lead to significant breaches. Remote workers are increasingly targeted as well, especially with more people working outside the office. Attackers often gather information from previous data breaches, social media, or company websites. They use this information to personalize their approach, making the scam more convincing. So, understanding who's behind these attacks and who's targeted helps us better grasp the threat landscape and develop effective defenses. Now, let's take a closer look at how vishing actually works. It all begins with reconnaissance. Criminals start by gathering information about their targets, often using platforms like LinkedIn, company websites, or social media. They want to learn names, roles, and even internal jargon to make their approach more convincing. Next comes the technical preparation. Attackers employ tools like 11 Labs or Respeecher to create AI-generated voices that can mimic real people's voices perfectly. They might also use caller ID spoofing to make it appear as if the call is coming from a trusted source. Then they move into social engineering. This is where they create a sense of urgency or fear, pressuring victims to bypass normal protocols. They might ask for passwords, MFA codes, or even get victims to approve wire transfers, things that would normally raise suspicion. Finally, we see automation and blending in action. Using robocalling software, attackers can reach thousands of targets simultaneously. These automated calls are often combined with AI-powered scripts, sometimes coupled with phishing or smishing tactics, to maximize their chances of success. All of these steps work together to make phishing a highly effective form of attack, which underscores the importance of being vigilant and cautious in our communications. Now, let's talk about when and where phishing attacks are most likely to happen, and why they tend to occur during those times. First, timing is a crucial factor. We often see an increase in phishing attempts during periods of organizational change, like when a company is restructuring or implementing new policies. These times create uncertainty and can make employees more vulnerable to manipulation. Remote work transitions are another hot spot. As more people work from home, the lines between personal and professional communication blur, making it easier for attackers to exploit less secure environments. Tax season is also a prime time for phishing, since people are more likely to respond to urgent requests for information or payments. Similarly, after a data breach, attackers seize the opportunity to impersonate trusted sources and extract additional information. End of the workday or fiscal quarter is another vulnerable period. When deadlines loom or financial reports are due, people tend to act quickly without thinking, increasing the chances of falling for a scam. Now, let's discuss the attack surfaces, where these attacks can originate. Traditional landlines are still used in some organizations, but now we also see corporate VoIP systems and direct lines, along with soft phone apps on computers. Voice chat platforms like Teams or Slack are also targets, especially when employees are communicating informally. And we can't forget personal mobile phones used for business purposes. They're often less protected, making them prime targets for phishing. What makes phishing so effective? It's all about psychology. Attackers manipulate our natural tendencies, trusting human voices, obeying authority figures, and responding quickly in emergencies. They exploit these psychological tendencies to get us to act without thinking, which is why awareness and vigilance are so important. Understanding when, where, and why these attacks happen helps us stay one step ahead and recognize the tactics before they can do any damage. Now, let's talk about how artificial intelligence is transforming the landscape of phishing attacks today. Thanks to recent AI advancements, these scams have become much more convincing and harder to detect. Attackers are now using sophisticated tools like 11 Labs, Resemble, AI, and Descript, which can generate voice clones that are virtually indistinguishable from real people, even with just a few minutes of audio samples. What does this mean in practice? Well, these AI voice generators allow bad actors to mimic the voices of executives or colleagues with startling accuracy. This makes it possible for them to carry out personalized and convincing calls at scale, reaching many victims quickly. They can even record voicemail messages that sound authentic, increasing the chances of success. In addition, criminals are leveraging AI-powered robocalling platforms like Asterisk, VIC Ideal, and Twilio Flex to manage large-scale outbound campaigns efficiently. These tools give scammers the ability to automate and optimize their operations, reaching more targets in less time. The key takeaway here is that the human ear is no longer a reliable defense. When voices are crafted expertly using AI, it becomes incredibly difficult to tell real from fake. This highlights the importance of remaining vigilant and implementing stronger verification methods, as AI continues to evolve our threat landscape. Now, let's talk about the critical connection between Vishing and GRC: governance, risk management, and compliance. First, governance is all about leadership setting the tone from the top. They need to establish clear expectations for secure communication, mandate strong authentication protocols, and ensure resources are allocated for awareness and training. This creates a solid foundation for security. Next, risk management involves actively identifying phishing threats, understanding how vulnerable the organization might be, and then implementing strategies to mitigate those risks. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. Moving on to compliance. This means making sure our security practices align with industry standards and legal requirements, like PCI DSS for financial data or HIPAA for healthcare information. Now, it's important to note that many recent high-profile phishing breaches happened because of gaps in GRC. Organizations with strong governance, risk management, and compliance frameworks are much better positioned to prevent, detect, and respond quickly to phishing attempts. So, in the context of our overall security strategy, GRC isn't just a regulatory box to check. It's a vital part of defending against social engineering attacks like phishing. Strong GRC practices truly make a difference in safeguarding our organization. Now, let's explore how GRC, governance, risk, and compliance can actually help prevent or at least reduce phishing incidents. First up is policy and training. It's crucial to require ongoing security awareness training for all employees. This includes realistic phishing simulations so staff can practice recognizing scam calls in a safe environment. Clear protocols for verifying voice-based requests are also essential. Employees need to know exactly what steps to take before acting on any request received over the phone. Next, we have authentication. Implementing secure, out-of-band verification methods is key, especially for requests that involve sensitive credentials, money transfers, or system access. This means using an additional verification channel, like a separate phone call or a secure app, to confirm identities, which significantly reduces the chance of impersonation. Then there's incident response. Building a culture where employees feel empowered to report suspicious calls immediately is vital. When employees are encouraged and trained to flag these incidents, your response teams can investigate quickly, limiting potential damage and learning from each event. Finally, vendor management plays a critical role. Regularly auditing and monitoring the security controls of third-party vendors helps ensure they're also protected against phishing attacks. Strong vendor controls prevent attackers from exploiting weaker links in your supply chain or service providers. All these elements, training, authentication, incident response, and vendor oversight, tie back to our overall theme. Proactive governance and risk management are essential to safeguarding our organization against social engineering threats like phishing. Now, let's talk about some essential protocols and best practices to prevent phishing attacks. First, security awareness training is absolutely crucial. I recommend deploying interactive, scenario-based training programs, think platforms like KnowBe4 or Cofense, that simulate real phishing attempts. This way, employees can practice recognizing and responding to suspicious calls in a safe environment. Next, robust verification procedures are a must. Never share passwords, MFA codes, or any sensitive information over the phone. Instead, verify any requests through a secondary channel, such as sending a follow-up email or calling back on an official number. This simple step can prevent many scams before they happen. Moving on, requiring multi-factor authentication for all critical systems adds another layer of security. But it's important to educate everyone that the authentication codes generated, like those sent via text or an authenticator app, are never to be disclosed verbally. This helps prevent social engineering from succeeding. Another key practice is callback verification. Staff should be trained to hang up and then call back using official contact details from the company directory, especially if they receive an urgent or suspicious request. This ensures the caller is legitimate before sharing any sensitive information. Finally, in addition to these core practices, I want to highlight the importance of least privilege access, establishing empowered reporting channels so employees know how to report suspicious activity, and conducting regular incident response exercises. Together, these measures create a comprehensive defense against phishing threats, aligning with our overall goal of maintaining a secure and vigilant organization. Now, let's look at some of the key tools and software that can help us fight phishing effectively. First up, caller ID authentication is essential. It helps verify who's really on the other end of the line, reducing the chances of falling for spoofed numbers. For businesses, solutions like Truecaller for Business and Hiya Protect can identify and block suspicious calls, adding an extra layer of security. On the cloud security front, Netskope offers robust protection for voice communications and data, helping prevent malicious activity before it reaches your organization. Moving into security awareness, platforms like KnowBe4 and Cofense PhishMe are fantastic for training your team to recognize and respond to phishing attempts. Because, after all, people are often the weakest link. Voice biometrics is another powerful approach. Tools like Nuance Gatekeeper and Verint Voice Biometrics analyze voice patterns to authenticate callers, making impersonation much harder. And with AI-powered detection solutions like Pindrop and Aculub Voice Entry, we can automatically identify suspicious call characteristics in real time, catching attacks as they happen. Bringing all these technologies together creates a layered defense. When integrated into your governance, risk, and compliance framework, or GRC, they form a comprehensive shield against phishing. This multifaceted approach is key to significantly reducing your vulnerability and protecting your organization from these ever-evolving threats. Now, as we wrap up, let's talk about building a truly phishing-resistant organization. Phishing, as you might know, isn't just your average scam anymore. It's become a sophisticated AI-driven attack that targets the human element at every level of the organization. This means that attackers are getting smarter, and our defenses need to be equally advanced. To effectively recognize, resist, and respond to these threats, having a mature governance, risk, and compliance framework is absolutely essential. It's the backbone that ensures we're prepared to handle phishing attempts before they cause damage. Prevention is key, and that involves implementing strong policies that set clear rules and expectations, ongoing employee education to keep everyone aware of the latest tactics, and robust verification procedures to confirm identities before sensitive information is shared. Additionally, leveraging specialized detection technologies can help us catch suspicious activity early. But perhaps most importantly, defending against phishing is a collective effort. Every single person in the organization, from frontline staff to senior executives, plays a crucial role. Protecting our data, our people, our reputation, and our future depends on all of us being vigilant and proactive. Remember, a united, well-prepared organization is our best defense against these evolving threats.